Well,
go.
without further ado, I would like to welcome you to the Pharms Not Farms podcast. We are here today with another special guest, and this guest is a little different than some of our other guests in terms of his focus and his mission in life is very similar to everybody else that I have on here, though I really like to offer a wide array of education, things that inspire me that are part of various aspects of life that all affect us and that all have the ability to benefit our quality of life in many ways. So without further ado, if you actually would be so kind to introduce yourself so that people can know who you are, what you're doing, and then we can get into it.
For sure. My name is Miles Filippeli. I'm a grower primarily. I have a little small farm out in Western Colorado. I grow hemp and ganja and vegetables and flowers and whatever I can pull off out here in under the Colorado sun. I've been working with patients in cannabis in like the non-smoker realm for about 10 years now, and transitioning from like smoking weed and that scene to the more patient side of things, and the finding the highest form of the medicine and getting it to the people who need it the most.
Awesome. Yeah, so first things first, when you say the non-smoking side of things, what are you referring to for the people that are kind of unsure?
I mean, like what mainstream culture tells us weed is, which is like, the Cheech and Chong thing, which is like, I mean, I'm a part of the whole of the ganja culture. I mean, weed should taste good is my thing for my seeds and genetics and all that. But like at the same time, the market and the industry that centers around traditional users, I guess you would say, or like smokers and that culture, which I mean, I love and I'm a part of, but at the same time, it's like I had my fill of in being a contributor to, and I see the much greater potential for cannabis as a medicine that I've always wanted to pursue that, and I've been fortunate to be able to do that in the last like 10 years to kind of make that transition and still be a part of the ganja world and the smoker world and that, but also to have access to a different group of people who need it actually, and it's not just a recreational thing. So give thanks for the recreating and the vibes of like legalization and the smokers all coming together. That's great. But for me to be like more fulfilled in it and to really feel like I'm doing the plant justice, I had to make this change.
And so what is the palpability? What's the tangibility of the change? What's different now?
I mean, I don't sell weed. I smoke my own harvests, which, for a long time it was like grow weed, sell it, make money, like live, eat, like that's how it happens. That was a lot of my life. And coming out to Colorado and being really part of a true medical program and seeing the potential and meeting the people who are in need, and the physical side of it was years of research and trial and error on making a form of medicine that I felt comfortable that I could standardize. I could give it to everybody and say like, this is going to help. I feel like this is going to help. And instead of just selling pounds of weed. So these other forms, I'd make a tincture now, which is I have a lot of faith in and a lot of good feedback on and years of use now. So that's like the physical part of the market, and actually what I've changed is like I get to smoke my harvest. I have to grow more to make sure I have enough tincture for a year of patients that I could have potential to help. So it's pushed me to go harder and just to kind of suss out the best place to put it. In the weed game, it's just about like sell your weed and go on your way. And it wasn't really always, it was about the safest buyers. And now it's really about like, who needs it? Who can I get it to? Who's not going to waste it? Like who's going to actually use this? That's my biggest thing is like, I'll send to people, whatever. But if they're going to put it on the shelf and not use it and be afraid to use it, it's like the people who need it are going to take it. And I'm trying to get it into the people who are going to actually use it.
So, I guess to fulfill this conversation, because it's incredibly important, and just to, to proceed the another main focus that I want to nourish in this conversation or cultivate in this conversation. I just want to speak to what you're saying, because for me, somebody whose life has has enjoyed similarities in the sense where, for a long time from, late 90s on, I did the same thing. I smoked, I sold herb, and eventually grew herb, and, yada, yada. From that, when I came out to Colorado, I came out here for music, and I came out here to grow. And I really didn't understand the medical side of things until I started learning about what many people know. I started learning about cannabis oil, and what many people know is Rick Simpson oil. And then I started learning about our endocannabinoid system, and I started understanding that the getting your card or legalization movement is not just about smoking without getting arrested. There's so much more to it. And unfortunately, and I say unfortunately with big bold letters, the medical side of things has been completely shadowed by recreational interests, and in that way has basically let's just say, damaged the caregiver industry, while it was being abused by many people in some way, shape, or form, in terms of growing a lot of plants to not necessarily help people who had medical conditions. At the same time, we're talking about a plant that's non-toxic. So I'm not for prohibition. I'll just say that. With that, being said, when there's limited resources, because let's be honest, there's always going to be more people. Well, in the past, there's been more people sick than there is oil. So with that being said, there's limited resources. And so in that way, people who are going to, get the resources, everybody's different. We don't want to pressure anybody into doing anything. We don't want to say, hey, if you're not going to do it, don't take it, or don't come to me, or yada, yada. If you're going to believe in fear, don't talk to me. I want to make it and I'm sure you do too, you want to make a very smooth transition into opening up the dialogue about what this is all about, what the potentials are, where I can research more to make an educated decision for myself as an individual sovereign being should or has the ability to do. And with that being said, it's important that we are delegating these valuable and limited resources to people who are truly looking to invest in their own health, because that's where we see incredible success. And sometimes, there's no guarantees. The only guarantees will come in perhaps somebody like Miles or me or some other people out here that we know, is that you're going to probably get some quality material. There's no guarantees it's going to work, just the same as any other treatment or what you might call yourself your own treatment out there. The potential of not working exists. Though, it's thank you for bringing that up, because there are, for somebody who gave away oil and healthy edibles and whatnot for many years without asking for a penny, I saw who was really getting enabled by continuing to make the choices that they were making to perhaps keep them in an unhealthy position they were in, or who was actually investing in their own well-being and utilizing the limited resources that I was sharing with them in order to get ahead. And, again, there's no guarantee. Some people are going to try everything and it's still, unfortunately, not going to work, but you only know if you get in there. So thanks for bringing that up. And if there's anything you want to say in response to that,
Well, I think an interesting thing you touched on is like the difference between caregivers, between somebody who's growing, and this is kind of a passe thing now because the caregiver model has kind of been stomped out, and there's not many of them like official, real, like on paper caregivers anymore, because the state regulations are so restrictive, and just so much extra work on top of being a caregiver. What you have to do for the state is just restrictive. So. But the two kind of caregivers, the difference of them are the ones that grow specifically for people in need and are in contact with those people, and are kind of, would say, coaching them, so to speak, on like their benefits, their doses, their usage, their concerns, educating them further, all that. And then the other kind of caregiver, we'll call, is the person who grows weed and trims it up and bags it up and sells it to people, right? And so there's been this concept that there's a difference between those two people, and there is, but only in their heart, and in the action of it is so this phrase that's kind of connects to this that's come up is all use is medical use. Where it's like even the guy smoking it just as a stoner or whatever, they don't get it, or they don't know that they're getting those beneficial benefits, but they're still getting them. They're still like activating that endocannabinoid system by whatever use they're consuming in the black market, no matter their sourcing or anything, they're still getting those benefits, right? So so I kind of, and a good story I had of this is I had a friend move out to Colorado when I was out here, and she was living in my house, and she was like, got a job at like McDonald's or something, and just was just working and making her way, and she was smoking a lot of herb with me, and she was like, wow, like, you know, I was so angry back east, and I had so much anger, and I smoked herb back there, but I didn't, you know, I couldn't afford a lot. I never smoked like you do out here, rah, you know? And I'm like, yeah, we smoke a lot. And she said, yeah, the anger is like, the herb is really helping me with my anger. And I never knew that because I just didn't have access to it the way I do in Colorado, where you could just walk in a store. Like sometimes my guy was out in the black market. And so, and that's my tale of like all use is medicinal use. This woman wasn't taking herb thinking it was going to help her. She was taking herb as the smoker society, the other side, you know, but it really was bringing benefits one way or the other. And at a certain level of use, when you're really getting into the dosage realm, they were actually perceiving the benefits. And you know, so I think it's important to note that even without the heart of the caregiver is in the right place when they're doing it for the people, and the intentions aren't the same, but the end result often, even if you're just sending packs or whatever, people taking your packs, like people whatever, that there's benefits in those bags of weed, you know, like that we're all somewhat oblivious to, because our minds and hearts are in different places for the paper, you know, like it ain't, but it ain't all about that. There's a lot else going on.
Salute. That's where I first realized many years ago. I won't date myself, but many years ago, you know, I've said this before on the show. I used to go in the bathroom and smoke and sneak smoking. And sometimes I'd go in there and I'd have to go and I'd smoke, and I realized, wow, it healed my stomach ache. You know, and I grew up with a stomach ache all the time because I was eating garbage, let's be honest. And, you know, cannabis really, really helped me. And I remember looking out the window one day in the bathroom, smoking, and be like, this is going to be medicine. One day it's going to be legal. And I was just projecting the future, like, is it possible? Yada, yada. And I just saw it. And here we are, like, my whole life's dedicated to it. You know what I mean? It has been ever since I fell in love with it freaking 20 years ago, more. And, you know, so yes, you know, for me, smoking saved my life.
Yeah.
You know, saved my life. And that's not a joke. Like, I was a teenager who was going to commit suicide, and I ended up rolling up the fattest blunt I ever saw and just stuffed the Godfather, basically, right? And I ended up being in the woods, and I was so high, I just came to when I was drooling on myself, and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, holy shit, because you know, you think like, all right, you come to again when you're really high, and you're like, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? And then I was like, I came out here to do it. And I was feeling so good. I was like, I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? And I just laughed at myself and saw myself from a different angle. And thank God I had the chronic that was able to get me into that position, because I'm here today to be able to talk about it. And, you know, I had issues after that too, and life issues, learning how to, you know, eat right, learning how to balance my mind by eating right and by being in an environment that was healthy for me. My family was splitting up. So there was a whole lot of variables that was going on that the herb helped me love life. Okay. And so salute for your focus in that, because how I said it might not allude to all of the factors in the full spectrum of what the other quote unquote caregivers are doing, people who are just growing packs, right? And for those of you who don't know what that means, people who are just growing, you know, bags of weed and you know, volume in order to sell it. It doesn't mean that they're any more of a criminal or any, you know, because they're not making cannabis oil. Just like you and me, who didn't even know about cannabis oil for most of our life, you know, it still helped us in one way, shape, or form. And the fact that being in a place where safe access is the name of the game, we have the ability to seek, to use trial and error, to seek strains that are best for us but perhaps even at different times of the day, perhaps even on a different day. I might love this strain on this day and this strain on this day for different reasons. And really, that's just a beautiful, world of cannabis. And similarly for food, and similarly for so many other things. Look at, wine may or may not have medical benefit. They say a glass of wine might help your heart or something like that for the blood. Or regardless, you might drink different wines for different reasons, different alcohols for different reasons, at different times, at different days, and whatever. So that also exists in the world of cannabis. And so when you have safe access, you have the ability to truly find what's good for you, because you're the only you in the world. And so thank you, Miles. And moving on, one of the reasons why I asked you to be on this show is because you are you are contributing an industry to our world that I believe needs a lot of light on. And I am grateful for your work. And what I'm talking about is basically probiotic farming, fermenting your plant food. You want to talk about that and open up a window into your world of ferments?
For sure. I mean, it's always been about quality to me. I mean, I'm always, that's what weed should taste good is about. It's about quality. So by that doctrine, I've moved into organic or living soil and using as little salts, as we call them, or chemical inputs as I can. And on top of that, making as much of those inputs as possible. So, necessity always.
So you mean making those inputs as opposed to buying bottled nutrients?
Yeah, or even as opposed to going out and buying compost, making your own compost. I mean, like there's some things I can't make, but there's some things I can, and everybody's in their own situation. But this path led me to making my own, these fermented plant extracts, which, I was in Denver and I got raided and was like, had to kind of start over from scratch and was like literally scratching it. And I was like,
wow.
What was that thing I read on the forums a long time ago about making your own fertilizers out of plants and stuff? And so I got back on and started studying and did it. And it brought my cost down of doing it and brought my quality up. And I never looked back and kind of just been doing that ever since. And I'm out here on the Western Slope. So I'm out here by Build a Soil, and they're a big distributor, and they started just asking for them. I'd give them something for fun, be like, here's a bucket of this stuff I made, tell me what you think. And they're like, we'd sell that. So it took off, and I've been making them ever since for my own farm, because I still use it, but now I'm bottling it up and selling it too. And what it is it's a lactic acid bacteria, which are specialized at decomposing organic matter. So it's a brewing technique in water where you use lactic acid bacteria and a sugar source, which is like their quick food. They blow up, eat that sugar, and just population explodes. And a nutrient-rich plant matter. So of course I started out using our favorite plant, the cannabis plant was the original ferment for me. And it just worked really well. The plants loved it. And so it's a brewing process of those three things: the microbes, the sugar source, and the plant matter in water. And it creates a really stinky liquid, kind of, depending on what you make it out of, it's kind of a stinky cider kind of smell. And well, no, it's just been really good for me, and I've been bottling it up. I just started putting labels on it and everything, and it's just, give thanks, because it's like the thing that helped me when I needed it, and now it's kind of maintaining me and bringing light to the process.
Awesome, no doubt. A couple questions are coming to mind. One, using the fermented extract of the plant that you're feeding. Two, so I want to talk about that a little bit, if that's a thing. Two, I want to talk about why you're using these fermented plant extracts. For anybody who's just growing cannabis or wants to grow cannabis and might want to grow better cannabis, or whatever it is, like, talk about it. What's going on?
Sure. So, I mean, the concept is that plants grow plants growing in soil, the way that they evolved to do so on Earth. So the soil is full of organic matter, like broken down leaves, rock dust, all kinds of just organic materials that are in the soils. Rock dust is a bad example because they're not usually organic. But either way, the plant roots don't
Dead bugs,
dead bugs, dead manure, all kinds of
dicks, whatever.
whatever's on the ground. The concept is the plant roots don't just wrap their roots around organic material and suck the energy out. There's a complex symbiotic relationship going on in the soil where all these nematodes, bacteria, fungi, all this complex living ecosystem, microscopic usually, and macroscopic, including bugs and worms and stuff. So there's a complex ecosystem going on down there that the plant roots are a part of, and the plant roots are they're coexisting and benefiting from what's going on down in that soil. And if the soil life, if that ecosystem down there isn't diverse enough, or isn't active enough, or doesn't have proper food sources, you can see it in the plants. And that's where, like, you see a forest floor in a jungle or in the forest, like, things are happy, things are healthy, there's a coexistence there. Things that aren't meant to grow there don't grow there. In our cultivated world, we expect anything we want to grow where we put it, and so we throw fertilizer on the ground and make it happen. Long term, that's probably not the best way to go. The diminishing returns are already starting to show after generations of doing so. So we're starting to see this shift now happening into growing in conjunction with these natural forces that are going on underneath the soil. So what these ferments do and what they add to that process is this lactic acid bacteria family is kind of like a bottom level of that soil food web in there. The lactic acid bacteria becomes active in the soil and decomposes plant matter or organic matter in the soil and makes it available for the plants. Otherwise, those lactic acid bacteria die and become food sources for the existing microbacteria in the soil, microbiology. All that living food source can just use the bacteria in these fermented plant extracts as a food source. So it's adding a base level to that living soil food web going on. I know that got a little obtuse at moments, but there's a lot going on in the soil, and these things are support systems for it. Yeah.
Is it similar to our gut? Whereas if we're taking probiotics or we're eating fermented foods, it's going to enable our digestive system to be stronger and ultimately allow us to uptake the nutrients better?
Yeah, man. It's the same thing. And lactic acid bacteria are actually a big part of human probiotics as well. I mean, it's the same functional ingredient in this fermented plant extracts as are in a lot of probiotics.
Lactobacillus.
Yeah, the lactobacillus whole family, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there are. We have probiotics at guerrillahealer.org that one is a plant-based lacto, and the other one is 10 strains, and it has lacto in it as well, different kinds of probiotics. So I know through my research that, having fermented foods, which is a probiotic, and which feeds off of the prebiotics, the organic matter that is there, creates the symbiotic relationship for the roots or the plant or our body to be able to uptake the beneficial nutrients. And something that from Probiotic Farmers Alliance and Grokashi, Alan Atkinson, said, who was on season 1, actually, probiotic farming episode, he always talks about beneficial runoff. And you talked about growing fertilizers and it being detrimental over time. You want to open up a little bit more of the window into what happens when farmers are now using fermented plant extracts instead of, and getting stronger plants with higher Brix counts and higher nutrient dense plants rather than growing with all these chemicals. What happens to your environment?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's just bringing, whether bringing a fuller form of life or bringing it back to life in a dead setting, like a conventionally grown setting. There's a lot of benefits. Even people growing, for one, flavor, the quality of the herb, the terpene profiles being higher, and that's directly noticeable. That's empirical. So people are noticing that all the time. Like that's the first feedback I usually get, is their crop was more flavorful, and that's always my favorite thing, because weed tastes good is the motto. Beyond that, it's, to me, it's really about long term, especially because I have a farm. I grow in the actual native living soil, like dirt. So for long term benefits, I think is really where people see the best use of this, is where you see it over time, where the organic matter isn't, like, an example is you throw a leaf on the soil and it just breaks down over like a week. It's gone, like not recognizable. People are seeing it where, they've mulched before, and now their mulch layers are disappearing quicker after multiple runs using fermented plant extracts, all these probiotic methods, as you're talking about, making that organic matter in the soil, the prebiotic, and accelerating that process is the name of the game, is having that. It shows the activity down there in the soil.
And it's disappearing because the plant is now having the ability to uptake those nutrients, basically, is what you're saying.
I mean, that's the end cause. It's disappearing because the biology in the soil is breaking it down. And then the result of that is that the plant has more ability.
For sure. Thank you.
It's not lacking in any of those realms, as long as you're still adding some. There are shortages in the soil that have to be corrected at some points, which there's still a lot of discussion between the micronutrient balancing world and the soil biology world, what the best route to do that is. And no matter what you're doing with it, I think the ferments fit into it one way or the other.
For sure. You mean in terms of finding the right balance with the ecosystem, not having too much of this and which might create less of that. Yeah,
the actual chemistry of it, and the correction or the getting to that ideal place within the chemistry is still you can get a soil that doesn't add stuff back, or you can depend on organic matter and biology to do so. Either way, the ferments are aiding those processes to bring all of that chemistry in line to become, so that the chemistry in the soil is plant available.
Indeed. And so people want their plants to be, of all kinds, to be more flavorful and nutrient dense. They can get your fermented plant extracts at buildthesoil.com, correct?
Yeah, that's the spot, buildthesoil.com.
All right. Shout out to Build the Soil. As always, we love you. And definitely want to talk about, if we can, cannabis seeds and the world of seeds, and anything you want to talk about in that regard.
Oh, for sure. Well, I've been a breeder for a long time. I've always been about the flavor and the taste of the herb. So I've always took it on myself to make these varieties that are going to be uniquely flavorful. So I have, the lists of seeds, the menus always coming out, always different things, working with some land races.
So you're selling seeds?
I mean, yeah, I have distributors that I'm working with. I'm about to be on seeds here now. But yeah, I sell seeds. I have ganja seeds and hemp seeds.
How do people, talk about that, and then also let people know how they could look more into that if they're interested.
For sure. I'm on daga.love to get seeds, DAGGA.LOVE. I'm on Seeds Here. I'll be on Seeds Here Now soon. Seeds Here Now.
Shout out to Seeds Here Now.
Big love to all those guys. I'm on Deep Green Genetics, which I'm doing a bunch of work with and doing some events with them. They're out of Hawaii, deepgreengenetics.com. I sell hemp seeds. So during the whole hemp boom, I was uniquely prepared for that, because I'd been working with CBD on the medical realm and benefit for patient side of things. And
so when you say hemp seeds, you're selling CBD seeds if people want to grow CBD.
Yeah, CBD. Okay. And I'm working even at industrial level, so that there can be large. We've produced hundreds and hundreds of pounds of seeds to support a larger industry that can do more than CBD, so that we can have a fiber or a.
So you've been able to work with other phenotypes and genotypes of hemp, not just CBD dominant smaller bushes. You're talking about the taller stalks with more fiber.
Both, and even ones tall fibrous stalks that have enough CBD in them to make them marketable, like dual cross, dual use.
How much percentages are you finding in those kinds of strains?
You'd be surprised. I mean, we're seeing it all the way up into like 8 and 12% CBD.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's just less of it, less flower matter of
different terpene content, or similarly desirable.
You'd be. I mean, like, there's a lot of variation in those, but still, I think if you wanted to find a smokable like of those or something that had flavor, it's definitely in the mix. And that's what the CBD line I'm working is called Wolf Hemp, WULF hemp, and so I've been working on all these lines, and just kind of the CBD thing happened. I was uniquely prepared and positioned for it, and that now it's still just happening. The bubble kind of burst, but the benefits are still there. And I believe in the plant. I know it's going to happen. I know hemp is always going to be relevant and necessary. So,
well, like crypto, there's probably different bubbles, and especially in the fact that God willing, the benefits of this beautiful plant are continuing to be revealed throughout the world, and people like you will be necessary to have their knowledge be utilized. And as we know, there is plenty of knowledge in the rest of the world, even in illegal areas, people who've been doing this for a long, long time. And, so this is nothing new. And what many call alternative, we call original.
Yeah.
And Miles, is there anything else that you want to bring up? Because I feel like you're into so much. I just want to shed light on the good things that you're contributing to our world. Let me ask you a question real quick. What is your contribution to our world?
I mean, I'm an advocate for the plant. I'm just here to help people. Like I'm blessed with like really good family and really good people in my life. So I'm here to, like, what good is all this abundance I have if I'm not out there like trying to help other people get where they need to be? And like there's a balance there to be had between like your own boundaries and like what you can do for who and all that. So I'm just like here to help, so there's a big educational factor with all this living soil. Like it's not just the kind of thing, like there's I always say the truth is in the craft, which is like when you learn something really well, you like, it's a craft beyond an art, and you like understand what you're it's the difference between like painting something and knowing all about what you just painted, like, so I don't know, I got the fermented plant extracts, which like came from a place of understanding, like, and knowing what's going on and how to do it. So fermentedplantextracts.com. I got the ganja seeds, weedshouldtastegood.com has a whole clothing line that goes with it.
I'd be wearing my shirt, but I made it too small in the dryer. I need a new one.
I'm sending you more then. You're getting more shirts.
Yeah, I'll send you another Pharms Not Farms shirt.
I should be wearing one shit, but that's the brand right there. So
all love. You look good. You look good.
Give thanks, bro.
We're both wearing blue. Look at that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Well, give thanks to the platform and just the opportunity to share and be here, man. I love what you're doing, and I really appreciate this opportunity.
I'm grateful to be connected to good people who are doing great things, and we're all human, and we all learn from mistakes. If we are if we're wise enough to learn from our lessons and accept them as blessings. And I see you out here. Obviously, we share different circles, and I'm grateful for your work. I remember before I knew you that Nick T was like, "Yo, you got to know Miles on the Western Slope. I feel like you guys would gel," and I see why he says that. So salute both of y'all. And definitely Build the Soil's been repping you guys. You work hard, and I see why, and obviously, the pictures and the feedback and the results from people posting their successes, that speaks volumes. And so I'm grateful to be able to provide any sort of platform to shed some more light on your work. So keep it up. And you know, if there's anything else that, you know, is there anything at all when you're walking around in this world, you're like, man, I really wish people knew this. You know, this would be a great time to share that.
Man, give thanks. I mean, I've been listening to a lot of reggae, and the midnight Von Benjamin, man, the words of Von Benjamin have been really powerful to me lately and really touching home, you know. So I'd give people, anybody who's into reggae, give Midnight Akebeka, Von Benjamin a try. You know, it's lyrical and like
Rest
poetic.
in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace is very powerful vibes. So that's one thing I like always. I'm feeling like I wish people could kind of feel this music and understand it, or not understand it, like, but like feel it the way I'm feeling, or feel it in their heart the way in a positive way like that. So man, let the like music move you in a positive way is a very powerful, you know, the sound, the world is changed by a powerful sound, you know, so like it's happening. So like give thanks for your efforts in the music world. I've always been really like into traveling with bands and following my own thing, and I love it. So I hope people find help in music.
Mm.
The plant is out there to help, and the plant and music just happen to go really well together, you know. So ganja and music is a blessing. I was just at a little music festival last weekend. I saw Nika T. This is the greatest.
Bet.
Yeah, it was a good vibe. So yeah, like little, you know, I'm at a loss for words now. Give thanks, bro.
All love. Definitely great music. And Midnight, Rebecca. And yeah, you know, we're vibrational beings. I've been posting on the Gorilla Healer Instagram and the Pharms Not Pharms Instagram. We've been having different posts go on, just sharing, you know, different sound healing journeys that you can just go listen to and level up real quick, or however long you want. We've been sharing different information about cymatics. You can look it up, CYMATICS. It's basically the science behind the observational study of what sound affects on matter, more or less. And so being that we're all vibrational beings, you know, we're energy, sound affects us. How I talk affects me and affects you. And what I hear affects me and, you know, puts me in a state of being, a state of consciousness. And at any given time, you know, it could be like, yo, and raise that vibration real quick into something a little more perhaps stressful. And then at any given time, take a nice deep breath. Ooh. And balance out the vibe. And all of that, you know, even if I take a deep breath where I'm like, that's a way different frequency than if I take a deep breath where I'm just nice and smooth and easy. And I'm like,
yeah, man.
You know, so I've been realizing this, and music is, you know, it's a huge, it's a huge piece of proof, you know, that listening to different types of music can make us feel different ways. And reggae is great. If you haven't heard it yet, I was about to send you a link right before the show, and I was like, I won't confuse him yet. But Ernest Ranglin, the great Jamaican reggae guitarist. If you love guitar and you love jamming and you love reggae and you want to hear somebody just wail, Ernest Ranglin just released a brand new EP called Into the Rain, and I was just listening to the first song. It's fire, and there's a few more songs, so definitely more good vibes coming your way. And feel free to send me some of your favorite music from Midnight, Becca's solo stuff. And yeah, man, grateful for you. And as always, shout out to buildersoil.com. As always, subscribe to the Pharms Not Pharms podcast on Spotify and Apple Music. And definitely remember all the archived episodes. If they didn't make it to Spotify or Apple and you want to see them all, check out pharmsnotpharms.org. They're all there. And as always, last but not least, let's share the miracle of life and take a deep breath together. Yeah, man. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. It's good to be alive with y'all. And until next time, I appreciate love.
Good vibes.
Subscribe to the Pharms Not Farms podcast on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts.